This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Tuesday, September 24th, 2024. Born on this date in 1994, reality star and former Miss Alabama USA Hannah Brown of Tuscaloosa. Today, we have a big reward in that Birmingham shooting that killed 4. We have the National Blue Ribbon Schools from Alabama, an offer to stay that a longtime university leader couldn't refuse, and we'll talk about tropical storms and hurricanes and Alabama's possible impacts. My name's Ike Morgan, and we're down in Alabama. Now, how confident is Birmingham Police Chief Scott Thurman that authorities will bring the shooters from Saturday night's mass shooting outside a hookah bar to justice?
We're going to hunt you down and we're going to arrest you, 100%.
A criticism often leveled at the community in Birmingham, you've heard it from the chief, from Mayor Randall Woodfin, and many others, is that too many people are hesitant to come forward with information on a crime. Incidentally, 2 of the 4 people who were killed in the shooting Saturday night had previously faced murder charges. One was acquitted. The other had his charges dropped because, according to the prosecutors, witnesses were either dead, unavailable, or not cooperating. AL.com's Carol Robinson reports that for Saturday night's mass shooting, which injured 17 in addition to the 4 fatalities, dozens of tips came in over the weekend, and then 10 more came in quickly when authorities announced a reward of up to $100,000 offered by the FBI and Crime Stoppers. Of those wounded in the shooting, 5 were still hospitalized at the end of the day yesterday, 4 with life-threatening injuries. BPD said that while the victims certainly included innocent people who became collateral damage, police do believe it was a targeted hit on at least one of those killed. The U.S. Department of Education has recognized this year's National Blue Ribbon Schools, and 5 Alabama schools are among the honorees, reports AL.com's Rebecca Griesbach. Now keep in mind that only 130 Alabama schools have reached Blue Ribbon status since 1982. Nationally, there were 356 recipients this year. The Alabama schools were Epic Alternative Elementary School in Birmingham, East Elementary School in Cullman, Carver School of Mathematics, Science, and Technology in Dothan, Crestline Elementary School in Hartselle, and Brookwood Forest Elementary School in Mountain Brook. Blue Ribbon Awards are given to schools for high academic performance or progress in closing achievement gaps. If you're at one of those schools and listening to this in your classroom, it does not mean that you get to go home early. When I was in school, any accolade for the school or praise given to students was met with an immediate, does this mean we get to go home early? It never does. Well, here's a reversal on a story we had a few weeks ago. It turns out that Jack Hawkins Jr. is not leaving Troy University after all, reports AL.com's Howard Koplowitz. Now, the man has already served as chancellor of the university 35 years, longer than any current university president, according to Troy. But after he announced his pending retirement 3 weeks ago, the university's board of trustees asked him to reconsider. He said he and his wife appreciated the sentiments during a board meeting, and he ended up accepting their offer to stay. Now, to illustrate how long Hawkins has been at Troy using pop culture references, he was named chancellor more than a year before America first heard Michael Corleone say, "Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in." Hey, we're going to take a really quick break. We're going to be back, talk with weather reporter Lee Morgan about this tropical disturbance that's out there. Y'all stay with us.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit Shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
Thanks for staying with us, everybody. Well, yesterday we mentioned a tropical disturbance that was down in the northern Caribbean Sea. And since then, a lot of the forecast models have started to kind of come together. We have weather reporter Lee Morgan on the show right now to talk a little bit about what may become a hurricane that the Southeast has to deal with.
Yeah, fun for us. What we are looking at is what will be Tropical Storm Helene. And it is in the northern Caribbean. The National Hurricane Center thinks it's going to take a track to the north and eventually it'll cross through the Gulf of Mexico. And as of this recording, the models seem to think that Florida's Big Bend area could be a likely landing point. Now, I should stress that the so-called cone of uncertainty, which shows where the center could go, stretches anywhere from the Panama City, Destin area, all the way to Tampa. So, and that's just where the center can go. So, they're thinking this storm, Helene, could become a hurricane by Wednesday, and then landfall they're anticipating will be sometime on Thursday, maybe later in the day, Thursday. The thing's going to be moving really fast, and
That's usually good news.
it is good news because it doesn't have as much time over the Gulf to strengthen, like it could. But that the downside of that is it could, move farther inland before it weakens considerably. So places inland that don't usually get a hurricane force wind might see that. Southern Georgia, northern Florida might experience some of that. We'll just have to see. You know how these things go. Things can change. They never evolve quite like we think they are, and this is still a developing system, right? For Alabama, coastal areas, as of this recording, were not in the cone, but they think that by the time Helene reaches near the coast, it could be a big storm. It could really grow in size. And so that means, wind, rain, surge can be felt far from where that little black dot comes in the center. Now, that's more the case places to the east. So if you know people, Tallahassee, we got people there down into the western Florida peninsula, make sure they know what's coming because there could be some serious storm surge in those areas. I know some of the weather weenies out there were concerned about Tampa Bay because that's always just a disaster waiting to happen as far as storm surge goes if the hurricane comes in the right way. This won't happen like that. But the way, the winds rotate counterclockwise around the low pressure, and that could send that water surging up along the coast. Not as big of a deal for Alabama if the forecast stays as they think. Coastal areas, they're going to still have a high risk of rip currents, which will kill you. Take those seriously, rough seas, all that kind of stuff. And Alabama's not going to escape rain. There could be like 2 to 5 inches. That's what the National Weather Service is thinking right now. And that's mainly eastern Alabama will see the most rain, but western Alabama could see some too. So we just have to watch where that storm goes once it makes inland. Once it comes inland, as far as the center goes, Alabama will be on quote unquote the good side, if there is such a thing. So the worst of the weather we won't see, hopefully. But I encourage anybody along the coast to keep an eye on this forecast, especially Thursday it should be here. But, you never know how these things can evolve. So don't just listen right now and think, oh, it's a problem for the Big Bend of Florida and tune out because things can change. I'm hoping, that this is just all overblown and it's just a nice breeze blows in. But I'm afraid it's going to be probably a fairly strong hurricane. And poor Florida, they already had Debbie hit in this kind of general area not too long ago. And then last year they had another storm, Idalia, come in right around us. So that's pretty unfair. What did those people do?
Well, Idalia came all the way up the peninsula.
Yeah.
It did a lot of damage way down south, and then through North Florida.
So everybody, just keep an eye on the forecast for Alabama. We're looking at Thursday, Friday being the days where we could see wind and some gusty winds and some rain from that. But we'll just have to see how the track evolves to see how much of that we're going to get.
Okay, Lee. Well, thanks for coming on and sharing that with us.
No problem. One day, y'all, I promise I'll have good news.
Well, yeah. Well, we've done that. We've had the good news, but people can kind of tell. I will have. I'll make a mention of, hey, keep your eyes on the tropics. But then by the time you come on, it means it's elevating to we're going to get some kind of effects somewhere.
You know what's crazy is that we've had several hurricanes this year. We've had Beryl, we've had Debbie, we've had Ernesto, and we had Princy. So that's 4 hurricanes. 3 of those hurricanes have hit the Gulf Coast.
That's high percentage, because it's really not been the season that the worst fears had expected going into it. I know I don't believe in jinxes, so that's why I'm saying this. But we are in the heart of the season, and we could still, it just takes one to make it a bad year for somebody.
Yes. So hopefully, I hope this one isn't as bad as what we're thinking it could be, and then after that, kaput, nothing else.
Well, this is another chance to get a little bit of rain in the state, I guess. Is there anything else on your radar screen as far as weather down the road the rest of this month, early next month? I'm
glad you brought that up. More in the immediate future, we're going to have a cold front, or attempted a cold front, move down into the state today, and that could set off a few storms, especially North Alabama. So the Storm Prediction Center has a marginal risk, which is a level 1 out of 5. For severe weather for the northern part of Alabama today. So just keep a lookout for those. I don't think they're expecting tornadoes, just, damaging winds and heavy rain and enough to knock down some tree limbs and power outages. So just be aware if you're up in that part of the state. A level 1 risk just means isolated severe storms will be possible. So they might get some rain early, and then the rest of us may get some rain later in the week.
Okay. Thanks, Lee. We appreciate you. And thanks, everybody out there, for listening to us. We're going to be back here again tomorrow. Until then, y'all come by and see what we're doing on the internet at al.com.